Athletic that Manchester United have reported that Marcus Rashford, Alejandro Garnacho, Jadon Sancho, Antony and Tyrell Malacia will not be reporting back for pre-season training, and they've been notified that they are looking for new clubs, or 5 of them. Now Manchester United will reportedly assist them in any medical and rehabilitation purposes, but the goal for the 5 of them is to find a new destination. And you know what I say? Bring the buyers. You bring the buyers, you can leave. It's as simple as that. But it sounds like also Ruben Amorim wants to enter pre-season and start pre-season and go through pre-season with the squad that he's probably going to utilize throughout the next Premier League campaign. So we've got a lot to talk about. Make sure you guys hit the like button. Be sure to subscribe as well if you are new here. Now, if you've not known, Marcus Rashford has been linked to Barcelona for quite some time, and there was always a bit of skepticism as to whether or not Barcelona would eventually come in for him. Well, now Nico Williams, Barcelona's main priority target this summer, has signed a new contract that will see him stay at Athletic Club for another 10 years. It's reported as well that his release clause in his new contract has now doubled. So I think his release clause was around 50 to 60 million. So now that's doubled and is reportedly nearer to the 100 mark. As a result, I think that might leave a door open for Marcus Rashford to Barcelona. Hear me out, guys. The reason why I say that is because out of all the left wingers that are available right now or on the market that Barcelona have been linked to, it's only been Nico Williams, Marcus Rashford, and also Luis Diaz. Now, with the situation regarding Diogo Jota, and I think it's best for Liverpool to probably not have to engage in any sort of potential transfer moves and just think about creating an harmonised environment for fans and players and staff to be able to mourn their player. But I have seen the reports about Luis Diaz to Barcelona, and I think that's a bit too soon. So putting all of that aside, I do believe that Marcus Rashford to Barcelona could be a possibility. Hansi Flick likes him. I think it was reported that Deco had his reservations about Marcus Rashford, but Marcus Rashford has publicly come out and suggested that he wants to go to Barcelona. He's publicly given himself multiple avenues of trying to get a move there by saying, you know what, I can play on the left, but I can also play through the middle, knowing that, Barcelona need a bit of depth across that front line. It's opened up those avenues of conversations. Now, Man United have a price tag for Marcus Rashford of 40 to 45 million, which I actually think is reasonable in a market where I'm seeing Elanga going for 55 plus. I'm seeing Gittins going for a lot. I'm seeing João Pedro going for 55 million. I'm seeing, potentially Rodrigo's priced at 80, 90 million euros. I think 40 to 45 million is reasonable for Marcus Rashford, given also the wages that he earns. I think that's the biggest thing that holds Manchester United back from comfortably being able to offload him. And Manchester United have no one to blame but themselves regarding the wages, because the wages problem is the same problem regarding Jadon Sancho leaving. Jadon Sancho had the choice to stay at Chelsea. Chelsea were interested in keeping him, but he wouldn't accept a pay cut. He wouldn't accept a pay cut to go to Fenerbahce. They now have moved on and now have gone towards looking at, John Duran. Juve are interested in him, Napoli are interested in him, but the common denominator is always taking a pay cut. And Jadon Sancho might actually not take a pay cut. If there's anyone out of these 5 players that potentially could not get a final move eventually, I think it could be Jadon Sancho. I think there are suitors going to line up for Alejandro Garnacho, given the market of wingers right now. I think Marcus Rashford will have his suitors. I think Tyrell Malacia might favour a move back to the Dutch league, and Tyrell Malacia out of all of them is actually the most sad and unfortunate one, because I like Tyrell Malacia. I wanted United to buy him before we actually brought him. I like Tyrell Malacia. I think in his first season he did pretty well, but I think it's that injury situation and having back-to-back knee surgeries that has hindered his development at Manchester United. And you look at everyone, right? You look at Marcus Rashford, you look at Jadon Sancho, you look at Garnacho, all these players that are on the chopping block to be sold by Manchester United. Tyrell Malacia is probably the only one that hasn't publicly had a falling out with the manager. He hasn't publicly had an issue with the fan base yet. Nothing has transpired from Tyrell Malacia's behaviour or his etiquettes or his characteristics or, the criticisms that fans have. None of that has been at Tyrell Malacia's doorstep. It's just been a situation where it's been unfortunate not to work out at Manchester United. He did look uncomfortable for me at left wing back in those couple of games he's played under Ruben Amorim, and it's one of those situations where it hasn't worked out. It's best to move on, let bygones be bygones. But you look at it on the flip side, and Garnacho's situation is more similar to Rashford and Sancho's in terms of the fact that these are players that have publicly had issues at Manchester United. You know, we know what happened with Marcus Rashford. We know what happened with Jadon Sancho. We know how everything has transpired with Alejandro Garnacho and Ruben Amorim. And I do think with Garnacho, I think United could have had a lot of suitors lining up for him this summer had it not all played out publicly. And that's probably the biggest problem with United and these five players. I'm saying five because Malacia's in it, but not really Malacia. More so four, including Antony. The biggest problem with shifting these players is that the whole entire world and everybody else on every other planet knows that Manchester United don't want these players. And they've had public falling outs. Jadon Sancho has had public falling outs with the previous manager, Erik ten Hag, and it's been reported that Man United want to move him on. Marcus Rashford has had a falling out with the current manager. Alejandro Garnacho has had a falling out with both managers. Actually, Rashford had a disciplinary under Erik ten Hag as well. So these are players that have had situations arise in the public eye, which is making it more difficult for Man United to shift these players off the book. Now, one positive I will say from this is if Man United are able to sell Garnacho and Rashford, that goes down as pure profit, minus the little 500, 400k that Man United paid for Garnacho when they brought him. It's essentially going to be 99% profit. So Manchester United financially will be able to benefit from a move for the both of them. Whereas with Jadon Sancho, probably the biggest benefit is that he's gone and that he's no longer Man United's responsibility and he could be the responsibility of another club. Same as Antony, you know, you're saving money on the wages for both him and Sancho, making a little chump change in the transfer, which both of them, they fall in the top 5 of Man United's biggest transfers, and I think neither of them will be remembered for their time at Manchester United. Maybe I'll remember Antony for that goal against Barcelona and in the Europa League, the winning goal, and that goal he scored against Arsenal in his debut. But there's not really any highlights. There's no career highlights from their time at Manchester United, in my opinion, guys. This is just my opinion. But the best thing for Manchester United that can happen right now for all of these players, the best thing is that they just all get moved on. Just get moved on and allow Man United enough time to be able to go back and reinvest this money. That is the biggest point, reinvesting this money. I feel like this transfer window has been moving beyond snail pace for Manchester United. It's been so slow moving that it's been borderline underwhelming, guys. I thought at this point, you know, not long, couple of days left till United report for pre-season. Manchester United's manager and his coaching staff has reported back to Carrington today. I would have anticipated that Manchester United would have signed a second person. I would have thought the Mbeumo deal would get done. Still, you know, it could happen in the next 48 hours. But I would have hoped that would have been the case, but it's not been. And I just want to shift these people off the books. If it sounds like Man United are, you know, making it seem like so much is riding on the potential of these players leaving in terms of the transfer window, then please just get the deals done. And that's why I say to the players, bring the buyers. It's very clear that you want to leave. And let's be honest, Manchester United are publicly, you know, pushing these players out, but they also want to leave. You know, so I don't think anybody is everyone got blood on their hands in this situation right now. Between Marcus Rashford, Garnacho, Sancho, Antony, the club, they've all got a part to play in the way that their situation has played out. No one is perfect in this situation. But now the best thing each player can do, if they genuinely want to leave, bring the buyers. You know, bring the buyers. If there is that much demand for you and that much interest in you and you're ready to leave, bring the buyers. Bring the buyers. That's why the title of this video is Bring the Buyers. If you genuinely think that. And I just hate the fact that Man United are operating in this sell to buy situation. I hate it. This is not a Manchester United. I know this is not a Manchester United. I remember, but we gotta firm it, guys. We genuinely gotta firm this situation right now and hope that Man United's transfer window shakes up a little bit in the next couple of weeks. Let me know your thoughts down below. Where do you think these lot will actually end up? I think Marcus Rashford will end up at Barcelona. I think he will end up at Barcelona, or maybe even Bayern Munich. I think Jadon Sancho is going to end up at like a Besiktas or like a Galatasaray. I think Alejandro Garnacho, something is telling me, I don't know, Chelsea. I know they're buying Gittins and João Pedro, but you know they like to stack players. But outside of Chelsea, I don't know where I see Garnacho going. I don't really see Napoli. I think Napoli are linked in Noah Lang, so I don't really see that happening. But we've got to wait and see. I think Tyrone Malacia will go back to the Eredivisie, and I think Antony will go back to Real Betis. I think he will go on loan, but I think Sancho will be sold for peanuts. I think Garnacho, Rashford will be sold. I think Antony will go out on loan, and I think Tyrone Malacia will be sold for peanuts as well. Let me know your thoughts down below, guys. Be sure to hit the like button. Be sure to subscribe as well if you're new here.